The risk of taking the vaccine is greater than the benefit.
I personally do, yes.
My grandson got 9 shots in one day, 7 of which had mercury in it, and he became autistic in a very short period of time.
I was concerned by the complication rates, and they were kind of scary complications, neurological damage in most cases.
We have all heard statements like these on the news, but they are no more than myths. By allowing children into public schools without all proper vaccinations is placing not only that child at risk of disease, but also the other children inside of the school. Vaccination laws are determined by the state government rather than the federal government. Michigan schools require students to receive immunizations for diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, polio, measles, mumps, rubella, hepatitis B, meningococcal conjugate, and varicella, but there are loopholes to avoid these immunizations. As of right now, 47 out of 50 states allow for religious exemptions from vaccinations, and 17 of 50 allow for philosophical exemption, Michigan falling into both of these categories. If parents opt to exempt their children from vaccination, they are required to attend a class educating them about the health benefits of vaccinations. Though this class has lowered the amount of people who opt for these exemptions should not even be a choice. Both philosophical and religious exemptions are hard to define as they are not based on fact, and should be banned as allowing for children to go to school unvaccinated is dangerous for the entire community. To begin, people often do not understand how vaccines work, leading to them distrusting vaccinations simply because they are unaware of what they actually do. Vaccines are made of very small traces of dead or extremely weak germs that imitate an actual pathogen. By introducing traces of the pathogen into the human body, the immune system quickly fights off the germs and essentially makes a memory of the disease's makeup. By making this memory, the immune system is now prepared to fight the pathogen if the body were to encounter the disease. Therefore, vaccines essentially arm the immune system with the tools it needs to fight pathogens without infecting the body. By allowing for children to attend school without being properly vaccinated, the entire school is at a raised risk of being infected by an array of diseases. Immunizations are extremely effective, but just like anything else used as a treatment, 100% effectiveness is impossible to achieve. If a student without immunizations is affected by a disease, the chance of it developing into a serious ailment is highly plausible. Once this occurs, the chances of other vaccinated students also becoming infected increases significantly. Some people believe that they don't need to vaccinate because of the idea of herd immunity. This concept is simply the idea that if the majority of the population is vaccinated, then one person not being immunized is going to cause no harm. Though this concept is vital to protecting those children who are unable to receive vaccinations for medical issues, it should not be used as an excuse for others, as it often does not ensure that children will not get sick, due to the fact that the group of unvaccinated people in our communities are not evenly dispersed. As stated by Marshall South, a professor at Pennsylvania University, the assumption underlying the calculation for herd immunity is that people are mixing randomly, and that vaccination is distributed equally among the population. But that is not true. There are communities whose members are much more likely to refuse vaccination than others. Some of these areas include places with high levels of rural communities with average vaccination rates falling 16% lower than those areas that are highly urbanized. As this lack of randomization of vaccinating shows, the idea of herd immunity is not accurate, and if people continue to use herd immunity as a safety net, more and more children will continue to grow sick as the vaccination levels will only decrease. One of the most common diseases that can be vaccinated for is measles. This disease is hard to stop because it is spread through the air and can live in the air for up to 2 hours. Also, as is stated by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, measles is so contagious that if one person has it, 90% of the people close to that person who are not immune will also become infected. In 2014, there was a huge measles outbreak at Disneyland, leading to 125 cases of the measles between December 28th and February 11th. Of these 125 cases, only 1% had received all 3 measles vaccinations. If all of these people had been vaccinated, the outbreak could have easily been avoided, yet people all throughout the United States continue to not get immunized. In 2015, 32.4% of children aged 19 to 35 months in the state of Michigan were missing at least one of the recommended vaccinations mentioned previously. Children are much more likely to fall seriously ill, as their immune systems have not yet been exposed to germs, and therefore have no way of knowing how to fight off pathogens. By failing to vaccinate children, we endanger their health and continue to increase the chances of disease outbreaks in our community. Finally, by allowing people to avoid vaccinating their children, we are allowing for them to place their children in harm's way based solely on personal beliefs. Though having religious and philosophical beliefs can prove to be very important in life, these beliefs should not play part in determining whether or not a child should be vaccinated. Some of these common beliefs, as mentioned in the beginning interviews, have been proven completely false. One of these common ideas is the conclusion that autism is caused by vaccines. This startling idea has caused widespread panic and has increased the number of unimmunized children in the United States. This is a prime example as to why personal beliefs should play no part in determining if a child is vaccinated. When parents choose to not vaccinate their children, they are infringing on other community members' rights to live safely, as they are at an increased risk of becoming infected with pathogens. Vaccinations can save lives, and by allowing people to just opt out of immunizing their children, we are placing our future generations in grave danger. It is time our society stops treatable disease for good by telling our government that vaccinations should not be a choice, but a necessity.